Kia ora, good evening. Welcome to one more session of Coding Night New Zealand. And tonight we have a special guest, Jorge Arteiro. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you? Great
Doing
to be
well.
here. Great to be back on the meetup and after a few trips.
Yeah, no, yeah. You have like really great news from your trips and what you've been presenting around the world. It's just like well, really happy like to have you here. And to be honest, I think like last time you were here like was last year, like at the same time or the same day actually. I remember. So it's been like a long time since you have we had you here. So yeah, really excited for what you're bringing. And could you just give us like some hints of what you're bringing for us tonight?
Yeah, since last time I came here, I became Docker captain. I don't know, 3 months ago or so, a little bit more. Mid of the year, I became Docker captain. And I started having more, contact with the Docker team. And even if I have done a lot of videos and content on Docker, around Docker, I have been at DockerCon. Was DockerCon 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago in LA, and just came back. That's the shirt from the DockerCon. I just became Docker captain. Got my some things from DockerCon. Was very nice to be there, and one of the things was the Docker extension for for Docker Desktop. It's something that got my attention a lot. I discussed with, I had the opportunity to talk with the product team from Docker as well. And and I noticed that the Docker extension on Docker Desktop is growing very fast. There's a lot of partners building extension for Docker Desktop, and you're going to see how many have that on the marketplace. They have a marketplace for extension. And I started playing with that a few months ago, and I'm going to just say to show my work in progress. And I say,
Nice.
why not bring .NET for the Docker extension? People developing in Go, but there is no restriction for us to use .NET. And I said, why not show something in .NET? And I found some examples, and yeah, it works. I don't have any full extension, but I can show here today the full process how to build extension from scratch and how people are building extensions and how you can even leverage the extension from the community to build your extension as well.
Well, that's cool. Really excited. Yeah, just keen like to see like what sort of extension that you can produce like on Docker, right? So that's pretty cool. Um, so just like before we start, I always present like this slide, right? So just to introduce, like if you're coming here for the first time, I just like to say that we are a community group of developers and we love like coding and we follow best practices on software development languages and technologies. I always, well, we explore different technologies, but we tend to focus a little bit more on the Microsoft stack just because I think like that's the us developers or we do like more on .NET, at least like on the segments of the markets that I work for, and that's where I find like other developers that also do more .NET. But we are open, right, for any technologies. And the intention of the user group to enable developers with practical knowledge to excel and launch their careers. So, well, if you are like a junior or if you're like a lead dev, you're always going to find really great contents from our sessions. Also, we are part of azuretar.com, and we have the founder here, like George Arteiro. And we're also sponsored by .NET Foundation, which is an open source entity, right, that looks after the different .NET open source projects. With no further ado, I just give you the floor, Jorge.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much. And it is great to be here again. And I haven't forgot to to present myself, but yeah, I'm the founder of the Azure Tag community. I'm a cloud developer advocate for cloud native at Microsoft for the last 2.5 years. and I was at Microsoft before. I'm at Microsoft for almost 5 years now. I was working on that cloud native and Kubernetes space, and I work with the AKS team. But now is the focus here will be more on the Docker side. And the funny part is like we released something on Azure Kubernetes Service, like a tutorial. If you look at documentation, and so the first thing that we say on the tutorial is like you have to install Docker Desktop. Why? Because if you want to work with Kubernetes and cloud native, you need to understand the basics of Docker. And let me just share my screen here. It'll
Yep.
be no slides. It's all showing my work in progress. And I have my screen share. The first thing
Yep.
I promised was to talk about what happened at DockerCon. There's a lot of announcements. I recommend this URL here. I can post on YouTube. I'll post this Azure on YouTube there. You can post there as well, Marcel. And
Yep.
but one of the things I really like was something called Docker Build. So you can follow all those announcements, but Docker Build will be like remote build to try to accelerate the way that they build the image. Because every time that you're doing development, they have to rebuild the image and have to push again. The way that they're going to do now is like remote building. It's very hard to explain. We don't have access to that yet, but something that should be watching. Another one I don't think I have here, but let's see on the highlight is the new Docker Desktop 424. That's the one that I'm going to show here. They have a lot of improvements. One of the big improvements is like now they have Docker Compose Watch. Means that you can have a watch command on your Docker Compose. You can do Docker Compose up, but now you can have a watch command and just refresh, the parts of your Docker Compose. That's very, very interesting as well. I can open here. Resource saver, that's another big ask because people don't want a Docker taking, the whole CPU and memory from the machine for your desktop. And now they enable kind of this resource saver where they kind of releasing, the memory that they're using for the Docker desktop itself. That makes things easier to work on the local environments. Another big one was the Docker Scout. Docker Scout, you're going to see on Docker desktop as a new tab called Docker Scout. And yeah, if you have access, you're going to be able to do all the scanning of the containers. It's a private product, it's a product they're going to sell as well. But yeah, Docker Scout is now is inside Docker Desktop, but they also have like a separate IDE depending on the plan that you're going to use. It's a full product for vulnerability of the image and for the whole life cycle of the image as well. It'll be a big, I think it'll be one of the biggest products from Docker. The next generation of the Docker build, like I said, don't confuse like Docker build of the command Docker build, but the whole idea of Docker build is like speeding like by 39 times the way that you rebuild the image using caching, using remote building. And that thing will be a big integration with Docker Hub as well. Then it's kind of, when you run Docker build, that's not going to be running on your machine anymore, could be running remote. And then you're going to send the context to like a remote machine, very similar to Azure Container Registry does, that you can run, build the image on the Azure Container Registry. They created something called Docker Build that will be very performant and it will be very easy to be rebuilding the image. Not one for us that create content, and one watching us that like to create content is Udemy and Docker. Docker have a new partnership with Udemy, and that means that not just the Docker captains, I became Docker captain. They're going to open for anyone that really wanted to create content for Docker, and now they have a very close relationship with Docker. There's a lot of things to be announced yet, but yeah, the partnership is there, and just watch that channel because if you like to create content, you could partnership with Docker to create those content now as well. That means that Docker doesn't want to create the whole content; they want people that want to create the content together and publish that at Udemy.
That's cool.
Doc AI, I think everyone like sick of AI, but now you also bring Docker AI for Docker desktop and for the development. They show something very nice with Jupyter notebooks on VS Code, where you could do like the whole learning of Docker inside like a notebook, a Jupyter notebook inside VS Code. If that session is available, I'm not sure if that session is available yet, but once watch this Docker YouTube channel because it'll be there. It's a very nice session to watch. There are debugging locally. I recommend to watch this one. Udemy partnership. See, and next few weeks I think will be more of those sessions will be available. Docker build also is already there. Yeah, we could talk about the Docker news here for a long time. Those I think are the main one, and another one that I like is the debug. Let me see if the debug is already here. Yeah, that debug one, what that's going to be? You're going to be able to inject your debugging tools in a running container without having to install those tools in a container. Like when you have a container in production or even running, that you don't have like VI, you don't have Nano, you don't have like the tools that you need to debug the image because the image is a very lightweight runtime
Right.
image. Now you're going to be able to inject those tools with this thing called Docker Debug. And that session was amazing. It's not this one, that was just from the keynote, but watch the full session. I was there watching live, and it's something that we could come another day just to talk about Docker Debug. It's very nice. And it'll be simplifying. You don't have to have an image now, like a big Docker image to run your container just
Mhm.
because you want to debug sometimes. You just inject the tools when you need it, like in runtime. And that's a big one. It's a big announcement for me. Those are the main ones that there are heaps more. I recommend you watch here. But let's go for the session. Let's now talk about Docker extension. And I don't know if anyone has any question, but if you
Not
have any,
yet, but
you can just
you
let me
come.
know along the way. Okay, let's go for Docker extension. If you open your Docker desktop, one of the things now is that tab called extensions. You have to enable that. It's a new feature that they have on extensions. You have to enable those Docker extensions. And if you want to see the extension containers running, because the extension, when they install those extensions on Docker desktop, um, those extensions are also a container. They could be a container running on the background. I'm going to see. And then if you want to see those containers running, you have to select this one. And it can also block, only allow containers, extensions coming from the marketplace, or it could be from extensions from anywhere. Okay. I don't know if you can make this bigger. Let me see if I can make
Ah,
this one
nice.
a little
Yeah,
bit
so
bigger. This one should be good. Yeah, those are Docker extensions. And another thing I did present, I had a session myself at DockerCon. Then when become available, you have watch is about container D.
mhm.
And my session, if you want to give a go, is that container D is a beta feature. It's container D image pool, WebAssembly as well. It's all available now on Docker Desktop. Means that you can run WebAssembly on Docker Desktop. But on the extensions, once you enable that, you're going to be able to come to the extensions. And there's kind of a marketplace. There's nice ones that I've installed. One that became very, very popular was done by Docker was disk usage. And let's see how much, I'm using 70 gigabytes of disk
Oh,
for my Docker image at the moment. And from this extension, you can now reclaim some space, if I want to reclaim some space. I'm going to delete all the images that I'm not using anymore. I can do now using this extension. Another one is the debugging that I was talking about. If you want to play with the new Docker debug, it's available initially as an extension because it was developed as extension. In some stage, it's probably going to become part of the main Docker desktop, and now is deployed as extension. And just install the extension. It's from Docker Labs, and they're going to give you the instruction to do the remote debugging, injecting tools inside the running containers. Is a very nice extension, and pretty much that's why I think everyone's going to use that. Then in some stage, that's going to become part of the main Docker desktop.
yeah. Hey, George, can you please just zoom in a little bit more? I think like people are just saying that's a little bit
On
blurry.
this one, okay, let me. That's the. Let's see if we can do a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Better now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is not your configuration there on the stream? Is like, have you set for the full HD settings?
No, it's not. It's not a full HD. No,
Oh
it's
yeah, it's 700.
almost
Yeah,
there,
that's right.
but not full
Almost
HD. No.
there. I think I'm full HD here, but let's see. Looks okay for me here watching.
Okay.
Um, Now, if you want to install, like to create your extensions, they create this tab called create. But look, before you do that, just give a go and look how many extensions are available on this thing. So you can have Red's cache, you can have so many things, and that extent, those like marketplaces growing very fast. There's so very nice extension. I really like this one, Headlamp. That's the one that I saw is to manage like Kubernetes. Um, Message queue, whatever you want to do it. And once you install those extensions, you can manage them here. Means that every time that someone that releases the extension have a new version, you're going to be able to come here and update like my disk usage. You can just, if I click on that one, you're going to see the version that we have that was done by Docker itself. It's a full marketplace. But how can I develop this thing, myself? And if you notice, there is one called Azure Kubernetes Service. That's not from the marketplace. That's something that I'm developing here locally. I call Azure Kubernetes Service because I want to create something for Azure Kubernetes Service. That's the project that I work for Microsoft.
Mhm.
And then I just named Azure Kubernetes Service, but it's not fully finished. It's just like a scaffolding that I'm building at the moment. But it's going to be the Azure Kubernetes Service extension that I'm building myself. And if I open this extension, it's just like a empty, initial extension, just for you to like a demo extension, where the only thing I'm doing here, when you click, I'm calling the back end of the extension. I'm just getting some information. How I developed that, the same thing for another one that I have here, and they both done in .NET. They both done in .NET. Let me show how this works first. That's my session from at DockerCon. We had the recall hallway track session. Was just a conversation on the hallway on the boot with like a small number of people there. And the whole idea was to explain. I have like just 3 or 4 slides here to show what's a Docker extension. When you install this Docker extension, there are two components. One is the front end, another is the back end. Means is the front end is what you saw there inside the Docker desktop, is the UI. And the front end is called UI user interface. In the back end you don't have to have a backend. You could have extension only with a front end. Okay, then the backend is optional, but the front end, the way that they give you could be any language, could be any JavaScript framework, anything that you want. The one that they give out of the box, you're going to see there is now a new command called Docker extension. There is Docker command, but there is now Docker extension command. And the one that they scaffolded, the bootstrap for us, is using React for the front end, is using Golang for the back end. But that's just like example. You don't have to use that. You can develop in any language that you want, like for the front end and back end. What I did for my demo here was replacing the back end for like a .NET API using a code from an engineer from Docker that did like example using .NET. And I can show you exactly what you have to change. And what I did, I just got the latest version of the extension, and I did the same thing that he did like more than a year ago to make sure that everything works with the latest version of Docker and the latest version of the Docker desktop. That means that we can start developing with .NET on the back end tomorrow, because I just tried with the latest version, it works. And the way that this works is the front end talks with the Docker CLI. See, if you go back for my, let me go back for my Docker desktop run here. Let me stop that. That screen here is pretty much the UI. Every time that I click on some extension, they reload the web page. It's like a web page running here. And what is the backend for this? Because I have a backend, and this button is just calling my backend, and that's just like a Hello World, web application on the .NET API. But that backend is running as a container, and is running exactly on these servers here. See, AKS extension, AKS Docker extension, Docker desktop is running as a container. And if I open the container itself, I can see that there is something running there. Let me I can open the terminal, probably will be bigger, like this.
Oh, cool.
That's the container of my backend that runs my extension too much. There you go. And you now can see the code that's running my extension. That's my backend of my extension. Just a recap here, I have the front end, that's the UI, and I have the backend. When you deploy the extension is the UI. You're going to see one folder called UI here. That's probably, where is that? UI. Yep, there is one folder called, let me open like that. There's a folder called UI. That's where user interface is. And the way that Docker deployed this extension is they get all the code inside the UI. That's right. They get this code, that's your front end.
Yeah.
And they deploy to run your front end. Okay, they copy from the extension, because the way that they publish the extension is a Docker image. The whole extension is a Docker image.
Yeah.
And they get the UI component, they copy the whole UI, and they run inside the Docker desktop for us.
Yeah.
Okay? And
Cool.
what's left is the backend. The backend is my API, is my .NET API that's running here inside a container. And as you can see, the app settings, and that's a Docker, that's a .NET API. And that's pretty much the container. I'm just running separate, but that's my extension running, the backend and the front end. But let's go back to the code. Let's see the code of this extension to understand how that works. And like I said, you have the backend and front end. And the front end, they be able to talk with the Docker CLI directly. Means that
Mhm.
I could run like a Docker command if I want to get like, the containers that are running, anything that that we can talk with the Docker CLI,
Mhm.
we can talk by the extension as well. And and we can also talk with any executable that you deploy together with your extension. Could be like kubectl. You could get the pods running inside a Kubernetes cluster from your extension as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay. And you can do that from the front end, or you can also do that from the back end. And the way that they connect the front end, the back end is using a socket, means that your back end, like the container that I was showing there, they expose like a socket. And let me show the socket running is on here with the socket again. I think this one. Doc extension, containers, this one. You see the socket there?
Mhm.
They listen in the socket, and that's the connection, exactly the connection between the front end and the back end is using this socket. The
So
back end
on
is
the back
listening,
end,
and the
we're
front end,
leveraging a NuGet package or something that allows this configuration to happen. Or
they have some, yeah, they have a library. I'm going to show there is a library there. There's a client library that is going to call because the API is just like a REST API. When
yeah.
you send for that, then that's how they connect between the both of them, and they know where to send the request. That's pretty much how that connection is going. It's not going through. It's going directly using like a socket,
Yeah.
and kind of the client on the JavaScript connects on that through that socket with the backend. And that's why the performance is very good, very fast, because it's not using network or anything else. It's a
Mhm.
socket. And they, like I said, the front end can talk with like kubectl or any other command line that you want to deploy together with extension. There's a specific place where you put those executables, and they're going to copy that, and you're going to have access when they run the front end. If you want to expose the Docker socket on the back end, you can do it using volumes as well on your extension backend. Then that's the Docker Compose that you're going to see inside the code of the extension. They just mount the socket of the Docker inside your backend. Then you're going to have access the
Mhm.
same way that the front end is having access like that. Because the front end, you don't have to care because Docker is getting your code and deploying for you. And when Docker does that, they kind of open that, allowing that execution of the like Docker CLI or kubectl
Mhm.
for us because they deploy the front end for us. But the back end
Yeah.
is a container. And because the back end is a container, you have to do yourself. But the front end is funny because you don't need the back end for extension. If your extension is just talking with the Docker CLI or
Yeah.
some command line tools, you don't even need the back end. I recommend to have a back end when you need some persistence because this backend is like I say, it's not a single container, it's a Docker Compose file. It means that could be multiple containers running that.
Yeah.
The backend, that's why you see Docker Desktop virtual machine, and also on the Docker Desktop, it's showing it like a single container, but it's a compose file. See, in Docker Desktop, when you
Yeah.
see this kind of icon, is like Docker Compose running here. It means that I could have multiple containers running on my extension. Let's see how that works, on the code. Keep in mind, you have the front end and the back end. Then if I close these and I go back to the source code of this extension,
I'm gonna ask you for you just to zoom in on that one.
I will on this one.
This.
Try
Yeah.
to go
Cool.
back
Cool.
here.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay, let's try another bit. Yeah, yeah, there you go. I have my backend, my code here.
Hmm.
The way they do is they separate between go backend and UI. Okay, and all that scaffolding here is done now with the Docker extension. You see Docker extension. If I see dash dash help, those are the commands for the Docker extension. You have like a init command that's going to just create this blank extension with
Scaffolding.
pretty much everything, scaffolding everything.
Yeah.
Um, this one is a little bit different because I already changed to for my backend to be .NET, but I can show you, the one that I have with the Go as a backend. And once you do that, you can just run now Docker extension, and you're going to install this extension. And the extension installation is nothing more than a Docker image. So you install a Docker extension with a specified image. And the only thing I have to say is like, give me a Docker image. That will be my Docker image here. And the Docker image that I have is Docker image. Let me see if I have this one here. I think AKS. There you go. This is my
Hmm.
extension, the one that I built already. Okay, that's where my extension is. And you could see, by the way, now on Docker image, you could go AKS image. You
Hmm.
could see everything
Yeah.
that, yeah, you could see. And I love this now on Docker Desktop that you can see all the details. You can even see the build and all the package that this image is using.
Yeah.
Okay, it's very nice now to see this on Docker Desktop. But those are the commands I can install, and I can also do Docker extension. For some reason, they asked me to do sudo here. It wasn't like that before, but yeah, that's the extension that I have installed. As you can see, I have my
Hmm.
disk usage and the AKS Docker extension, my .NET API extension from Felipe, and that's like the one that I base mine, but
Hmm.
I just updated to the latest version of the extension.
Yep.
And let me go Docker help again. And basically is that if you want what I'm going to do is initialize the extension. I can do one try here. Just go doc extension init, and I think you'll be .NET API extension. I
All
think they're
right.
going to
So get
ask.
some sort of wizard.
They're going to yeah. They're going to give a wizard. You don't have to put a name there, but you're going to give the title, description, vendor. You're going to ask it, the repository for the image. Then I could
Mhm.
do Azure Tam and say the same name, .NET API extension. I'm just doing a little bit different from the one that I have already.
Yeah. Go backend.
Yeah, and they only have a Go example. They asking help for the community to create for the other languages as well. And
Hmm.
that's why I started building .NET, see
Yeah.
if I can help them. If anyone are interested to help, please let me know. It'd be nice to get together and build these.
That's
It
cool.
should
Even like
be
on
initialized.
the client side, so it's leveraging like React, and there's like a particular package in there where it hooks the .NET, actually a Docker client. Uh, you quickly showed in there, but yes, I think there are some packages that are being used within the front end. Yeah,
in
installing
the
npm packages. So that's
yeah, that's
being used. Yeah,
for the React framework.
yeah.
And there you go. You have the extension. If I now go for this .NET extension, or even better, if I use the code .NET extension, I can open in a new browser in a new screen because this one that I'm using is the AKS one.
Hmm.
I just now have a fresh extension,
Oh, I
but
see.
that's the backend is in Go. The
Yeah.
backend is in Go. Then I could just go open my terminal here and do the same thing, Docker. Um, by the way, they have a makefile. If you like makefile, you can just use the makefile. And they have one make build extension. The only thing I'm going to do is do run like a Docker build. That's
Yeah.
why I need Docker desktop to be installed. And let me, it's complaining about the,
A little bit of
it's complaining about the
context.
sudo, I think. But let me see if it
All
works like
right.
that. Um, I can just, you can just run your directly if you want. Docker build. Yeah, it's the same. For some reason, my Docker socket now is. By the way, I'm using Windows Subsystem for Linux, and I'm always using the latest version. I'm using like the Edge version, and sometimes
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't know what I change here, but you normally don't need to use sudo. You can just do like Docker desktop
Mhm.
because I'm on the Edge
Yeah.
on the latest version. It's like if you do like WSL and you do I think version. I'm on the 206.
Yeah. What would be? Yeah.
Sorry, that was mine. There you go. Then I have the image. That's the new image. That's not the one that I have there. That's the one that I initialized. I built the image. Then if I go Docker image, Azure slash .NET, I think, API. There you go. 40
Hmm.
seconds
Cool.
ago, I have my image there. And what's inside that image? Docker build, you need like a Docker file. You agree? You
Yeah.
need a Docker file, and that's a Docker file that we use for this extension.
Hmm.
That's the out-of-the-box Docker file using
Yeah.
Go as a backend and using React framework for the front end. The way that they do it, they create like what they call a Docker mode stage build. Each from of this Docker image, Docker file is a stage. They have one, two, and they have three stage.
Hmm.
The first from is to build the backend. And because the backend is in Go, they're going to build in Go. Then they build the front end, the UI, and the last one will be the image that will be created. And the last one, the only thing they do is they copy the backend and they copy the front end and they combine both in a single image. But that image is pretty much used by, as you can see, is a Alpine image. Um, and that's just to run the backend in Go. Okay, the final image is
Hmm.
running the backend because the front end is not running inside the container; it's running
Yeah.
by the Docker desktop itself. But they
Yeah.
just copying the UI inside for us to be able to copy after, for the Docker
Hmm.
desktop to be able to copy the front end from here. And in this case, they open the socket. for the backend from here. Okay,
That's
that's in
cool.
Go. If you go for my version in .NET, the backend in .NET, what I had to change, I had to build the front end, the backend in .NET, and
Hmm.
now I'm not using, I'm using the .NET SDK 6 to build my .NET API, and that's it. That's my backend
Hmm.
build. There is .NET publish. I'm doing for x64 here, and the front end is pretty much the same because the front end I haven't changed. The front end is still in React.
Hmm.
Um, and by the way, that's different from the one that you're going to find from Felipe. That Felipe did 1 year ago, and the front end was quite different because it was
All
the
right.
beginning of Docker extension.
Yeah.
What I did it on mine was to do exactly what I did here. I created a new one from scratch,
Hmm.
and then I came and I updated the backend to be .NET and updated Docker file and everything. Okay, if you look, the one that from Docker engineers are a little bit different, but the front end is the same. And the final image I'm using, not using Alpine, I'm using .NET Alpine
Hmm.
and just using the light runtime version.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't open the socket here. The way that I'm opening the socket is on the metadata of the extension because all extensions they have one thing called the Docker file, the metadata, and the Docker compose file. Okay, and other ones the icon, the Docker SVG is the icon of the extension. This icon that's going to be showing here,
Hmm.
and the metadata is very important because it's going to tell you the
Hmm.
Docker compose file for the backend. They call the backend VM here, virtual machine. And that's the Docker compose file they're going to run to create your backend when the extension is installed. They're going to look for the metadata and say, go on this Docker compose file. Could be a different name, by the way. Don't have to be Docker-compose. Could be any name that you want. And they're going to run this container, and that's where the extension, the socket has been opened there. And also the socket for the backend. The name of this socket could be different, by the way. It could be any name that you want.
Hmm.
You just have to make sure that's the same name for both. If you call backend, could be backend, but make sure that you have the
Yeah.
same name. And that's how you tell Docker Desktop that the UI, the root of the UI is this folder here, and the
Yeah.
index page, and the
That's
title
the
for the
glue.
page. That's the glue. The metadata is the glue.
Yeah.
And there are more options. If you look documentations, there are a lot of options that you can do, more things here. The main ones that, like I said, it's not a single container, it's a Docker compose file. Remember on my slide that I said that you could, let's go for my slide. You could on the Docker compose file, you could have a socket. You
Hmm.
could, I don't have the socket, but you could have the socket. You could have the socket here. It's the same file. You could just have the socket mounted as a volume inside the Docker extension. And that container is exactly the one that I was showing here. That one. That's the container.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the container. And that's the glue.
Yeah, that's cool.
Make sense?
It does. Do you
Any,
have the source code for that, or you're just like on your machine at the moment?
now we have the source code. We have the source code. I'm going to show where the source code is. It's on my GitHub, and then you just open here. The source code is on the Azure tab, by the way. I try to use Azure tab as a repository that everyone is welcome to contribute. And I just create a new branch here to say .NET. The main branch is still with the Go version. You see the backend is in Go. I haven't measured the code yet. I will very soon, but there is a branch called .NET where the backend now. Um, oh my God, I pushed the wrong one. Sorry, I pushed the wrong one.
Yeah, it's still the main.
Excuse me, I pushed the wrong one. I pushed the wrong one. But anyway, I will push the right. I will push right. The code's here. I haven't lost the code.
No, no, that's there.
Now I will post the code's here. And the way that I made the change was, following. Let me show the example I was following. And then, yeah, Felipe created this .NET API doc extension that I just did a fork for mine, where the UI is in .NET. Okay.
Oh,
You can use this one as well, by the way. You don't have to use mine. But the difference between this one here and the one that I'm doing on the AKS doc extension with .NET, I'm going to push the code here soon, is that I'm using the latest scaffolding from the doc extension.
yeah.
And this one is from, based on the Philippe ones that like more than a year old. And there are some things different. I recommend you to follow this one there.
Hmm.
Okay. But that was based on this one. And if you look at the documentation, like the community and the documentation for the extensions, um, is not only the extensions from the marketplace that are valuable. You can say marketplace extensions, but you can also, I put on this link on the I put on the YouTube,
Oh, yeah.
and there are also extensions from the community that are not on the marketplace that you can install and you can play here.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, and they even explain how you can do, like you can install an extension from like a Docker image. You don't have to
Yeah.
be fully on the marketplace. You can install
Hmm.
yourself. And everything that we use, like the NPM that you talk about, they have two like things. They have one, how they call the UI using
Hmm.
material Y. Why? Because you
Yeah.
want to make sure that your extension looks like Docker Desktop,
Yeah.
and they have all this theme for, I said, disk usage. As you can see, looks like Docker Desktop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? Because they're using the material UI that Docker is providing with all the color schemes and everything.
Yeah. That's cool.
And they also provide, means that you can use that in any language. You could do that in Angular, in Blazor, in any framework that you want, as long as is a JavaScript running inside that UI folder. Anything that's in there, they're going to be able to run. And another thing they have is extension API CLI, or no CLI, but like a client library for you to call, even to call the backend. See how the front end is calling the backend. On my extension, if you go on my extension, I have just one click here. When I
Yeah.
click, I'm got the weather hello world from .NET API.
Hmm.
And how that works. Let's go now on our code to see how that works. If you go on the front end, the only thing they do is they use this extension
Hmm.
API that we just saw there, and they use the material as well. And then that's the name, DDL, I think client is that extension, and they call the VM service calling like a operation. It's like a REST API call from here.
Yeah.
And that's how they call the backend. And just get result and show as a string. That's it. Means that that's the glue between the front end and the back end, if you want to call the
Yeah.
back end. Make sense?
Really cool.
And and the back end is a normal API. There's nothing different from that. And then my controller, where the controller, that's it. They're going to return the get weather forecast, the weather forecast here as well. That's it. That your API could be anything that you want, and your front end could be any language that you want, as long as you use this the JavaScript library here to call. And what more? And that's pretty much the glue. That's how we glue here the front end, the back end.
Yeah.
And now the
So
sky is the limit. You can do
yeah,
whatever
that's
you
true.
want.
Like if you're a front-end developer, so you can just customize the way how it looks on within Docker. No, that's cool. Well, they made like this. Well, they're leveraging their containers or any container that you can use by taking those packages, and then you're basically creating an application within your own environment. So that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think they got like a pretty good idea of extending
yeah. And
things.
to
Yeah,
install this extension once, because let me go back for the one that we create from scratch. We create this one from scratch. Yeah, we bootstrap, we did the
yeah.
build, and how we're going to do the install now. And to install, you can do, I think I have to do sudo extension. Well, there you go. Probably be easier to do from here. Doc, Docker extension, install, and you have to just pass the image that you just built. Yes or no. And there you go. Extension is
Yeah.
installed. If I go back,
.NET
I should
API
that one.
extension.
That's the one. That's the one. And that one. Just
Yeah,
calling. It's just like a hello world.
yeah.
And they go even further. Like the next step is people want to do like a hot reloading, or you want to debug that. I'm not going to show debugging, but I'm just going to show you how you can do it. There is a documentation for the debug, and yeah, you pretty much there is an option for dev debug, and they can using they that's why I was updating by the way to the latest version,
Yeah.
because the version from 1 year ago there is no hot reloading debugging, but because it's a working pro, I haven't tested yet with my new measured version
Hmm.
the debugging. But now you can use invite on the latest
Yeah.
scaffolding version.
Yeah.
If you go on the one that I did it, there is no, see this one that's a little bit older. The UI, there is no hot reloaded, there is no white here. And the one that we just did it, the UI, um, sorry, not that one. .NET, I think this one.
Mhm.
Fresh. Come on. Backend. Oh,
What?
be fresh. Wow. Hang on.
What?
I'm pretty sure the code's here. Yeah, the code's here.
Yeah.
Gosh. VS Code's not.
Have the UI there.
CDY. Oh, it's crazy. Wow. I'm pretty sure that.
Is this because like the Docker is well some sort of Something's consuming like the resource. Yeah.
I think, yes, já está. Oh, yeah, CDY.
Why?
Wow, yeah, something is blocking. I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
Probably the mounting the extension from my disk, I think, because I did just install that.
Yeah. You install it directly.
Yeah, that's fine. The version that's running there is from that version running here. If I uninstall, let's see. My gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's the point. Code.net. Me open again.
Yeah. Still holding the
It's still
resource.
holding. It's still holding.
Yeah. Yeah. But
But let me Docker extension install no, .NET API. I think .NET API
yeah,
extension.
extension. Yeah.
They pretty much kill my image. I have to rebuild the image.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go and do like a Docker build again.
Yeah.
I have to do a full Docker build if I want to rebuild the extension. Docker build. And the .NET extension.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Then install again.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing is is debugging. Let's see what more. No, it's not extending too much. Yeah, they have everything I was showing here, like a quick start. They need you can follow the documentation. Debugging is pretty nice. Um, you can create that simple extension is a nice one because I think they create without a backend.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, minimal front end sample folder. They they don't need like a backend for that one. Okay, and then the architecture that I was showing before. There's a couple of videos that they did. One is from Brad Fisher and other guys from Brad Fisher's a Docker captain. Another one's from Docker itself. I recommend you to watch these couple of videos. And another way to learn how to build those extensions is to go for the community. Was that sorry? This one. Remember the community list of the extensions?
Mm-hmm.
You just go for the source code of them.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
You go for the source code of those. There's one that I have open here is the Nginx one. And look at that. They only have a UI. They don't have a backend for that extension.
Yeah.
But you can see that's why there is no Docker Compose, because the only thing they have is a front end. Okay. They only have a UI, and the UI is in React as well.
React as well. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good way to learn. And the Docker file, when you don't have a backend, is pretty much building the client and copying the client code, the UI folder, because you don't have a backend. You just do like an npm build, run build, and then you copy at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Those are just
Yeah.
labels. If you compare with my .NET version that I was showing before, I think that's interesting because I built the .NET code the beginning. Yep. Then I do the same front end build. I put my labels, and then I'm copying the front end, the back end and the front end.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's a very nice way to see how people are developing. But at the end of the day, that's it. When you bootstrap, you need a metadata Docker file, Docker Compose. If you have a backend and you have the folders, UI and backend pointing to for the front end and backend. That's it. That's the sky is pretty much the limit for what you can build. The documentation is pretty good. There's a lot of information on the documentation here, how to test, debug. Um, Extension is API as well. I think the what it can be done. You can talk with the extension backend,
Hmm.
but you can also talk with the dashboard, navigation, Docker. Docker is a nice one. Um, See, if I call these Docker list containers,
Hmm.
I could do Docker list containers.
Yeah, you're querying Docker and then just having like the whole collection of containers available. That's
Do you want to
cool.
try to live? To try to live? I
Yeah,
mean, um,
that'll be like on the UI, right?
on the UI
Yeah.
side here, what's that? They can call from the UI, I think. Um, you could, oh, not
Oh,
this.
then
What's that? Copy.
put it in. Yeah, that's cool. And then they set the response line 21, just uncomment and put like the containers, JSON stringify containers.
Oh, yeah. Then containers. I like it because my copilot was pretty much doing the code for me.
Yeah.
um, that's it. Then what I have to do was my terminal. Let's see if I have Docker build. Docker extension.
That's your
Oh,
AKS
sorry.
Docker extension.
I have to go on the. I'm not inside my AKS here. Yeah. I think make should be working. Making build extension. Uh, Remember, I have this extension running already.
Hmm.
Was that?
Uh, failed to solve the bash when run it .NET publish.
Hmm. All right. No. That's the UI. Yeah, API is here. Let me just don't know what I did here, but install. Yeah, it should work on yours. Unless I change the code, then I will notice. Not sure if I, by mistake, maybe I
Yeah,
changed something. Let's see if I change. No, I'm gonna change.
yeah. When you try to mount the, the packages, something there.
I think I mess up with DockerCon here. No, I just because I changed before to. Hmm.
Yeah,
Anyway, just
yeah. I
look the
think
documentation here. Is a package that I'm missing here? No, I think it's the same.
no. I think that's the same, but this should be like another issue because it should have worked. But it
Should work.
feels
I
that
just deploy because
something
for
with
me,
the image, with the Docker build in there, particularly with this mount, that's not. Yeah, something is not happening. But
yeah. Let me close my me open again. Which one is? No, that's the .NET one. No. Live debugging. Close this. Yeah, but that's pretty much what we show there. You can call anything
yeah.
from there. I was just trying to make a different call. And
Hmm.
and there's another command, by the way, that once you have the extension installed, like I have here, you have to run doc extension update, not install anymore. Then doc extension update. You can refresh, or you can do the hot reloading if you're doing development for the front end.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. But I
Yeah,
was
we
just
have
looking
like
if there is any question. I don't think there's any question
no
here, but
questions. I think like straightforward is just understanding how things were glued together, like the UI and the back end. But it feels like if you're a front end developer, yeah, you just put like your creativity just to put like some sort of UI and behaviors in there. But with those packages, you can simply query Docker and wow, do great things, just like listing containers. I'm guessing like you could just simply have full control of your whole like Docker environment. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. You can pretty much do whatever you want now, and it's very flexible. If you look at the documentation, they make this very easy to play.
hmm,
And what I'm just trying to publish here and it'll be available very soon is this demo that you can follow my GitHub, the Azure GitHub. I'm going to publish these. I'm going to measure the main branch, by the way, because I wanted this one to be the backend using .NET.
hmm,
And if you want to see one with Golang, just look this one,
yeah,
or just look at the standard scaffolding that I was showing on the video. But this one main branch should be will be the one with the .NET version. Yeah, it's still
Nice.
failing. I don't know. I made when I was showing the code, I did something wrong here, to be honest,
Yeah,
because it should be working.
I think
I haven't
no,
changed
that's
anything and it was working.
yeah.
I probably messed up something when I was showing the code here. I don't know what I did.
Oh yeah, but
Um,
that's I think you're just trying like to do other things on top, but no, I think like people have like understood and they
yeah,
see the possibilities in there. Yeah, I
pretty
think that
much when
worked
you install, it'll
pretty
be
good.
here like we did with this one. And when you
Hmm.
call, you call the backend. The same
Yeah.
for this other one that was done before. That's similar to the one that I did it. It's called the
Yep.
backend on .NET. And as you can see, it works fine. But just pick your front end, pick your back end. If you want to keep following what I'm doing on this AKS extension and you want to help, you want to put your name in the extension, just help, the Azure AKS doc extension. I'll be putting my initial code very soon. Then if you want to have an idea for extension that we can even get pods from AKS or manage something on Azure Kubernetes Service from the Docker desktop itself.
Hmm.
Open show me shoes, give me some ideas as soon as I start publishing code. And if you are a developer, that's what the reason why I changed the backend to be .NET, because I want to help from the .NET developers.
Yeah.
And the front end, I haven't changed. I left on React, and I'm doing like a test with Blazor. If works fine, I'm going to the front end will be Blazor. And yeah, watch the space because I'm going to try to change the front end as well, not just the back end.
Nice. Yeah. So well,
Thanks
people are
so much.
invited.
And
So if they want to contribute, yeah, ping George and
yeah,
start like
exactly. If they
contributing.
want to help, if you want to help, um, it's very simple. It's just like if you're a developer, that's it. You just have to get this repository here and start playing with me once I publish the first version. And by the way, you can follow my Docker Hub for. I'm going to publish this on the Azure Docker Hub, and then you're going to be able to see the Docker extension, Docker image here as well, published on the Azure Docker Hub.
Cool. Oh, nice. Yeah, I think
Thanks so much.
no questions. Thanks, George. Appreciate your time. Just like come and share with us and bring like this news. And yeah, I think like the session probably got like people excited, especially if those like they're exploring containers with the Docker. And yeah, there are open possibilities in here.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. If you have any questions, just let on the YouTube video there. I'm also going to be publishing those videos on the Azure channel, and
Oh
I'm
yeah,
probably going to
feel
get
free
with
to do
Marcelo.
it. Yeah, like
Yeah.
more than welcome to do it.
Yeah. By the way, if I can show quickly here, just saw the Azure channel. If you're not following, follow the channel. And there is one playlist where I'm going to be publishing those. I think it's on the main page. It's called, um, yep, Azure Meetups. I think we did publish this one before, the gRPC one that you presented.
Oh yeah, yeah, correct.
And you can see there's a good number of views from here, um, 250 views already. And yeah, it's nice to publish on the Azure. Oh, sorry. It's nice to publish on Azure channel because sometimes we get more views. We have
Yeah,
more visibility on the channel.
yeah,
And like this one, there's 1.5, thousands of views in
yeah.
five
Good one.
months. Um, I'll be looking for the older sessions as well and see what we can publish. And there are other meetups like the other meetup from New Zealand. I published a couple of
The
already.
Wellington.net user
The
group. Yeah,
Wellington.net and yours is Auckland one. And there are people from Singapore that want to publish here. And if you have a meetup and you want to join us, let me know as well. We're happy to publish your videos. Thanks so much.
Nice. Thanks, George. Yeah, and thanks to the audience. So this is going to be recorded, and in the future, George also is going to be published on Azure Tar. But yeah, we have also here like Code Nights as well, so the streaming on YouTube. So feel free to check like later on. So if you missed any sort of part of the presentation, but that was a great presentation, George. Yeah, thank for your time. Yeah, and
Thank you.
uh, I think like I just invite you guys for next sessions. We generally have like monthly sessions. On this month, it's being pretty busy. We have like another session happening next week, and yeah, I just invite you to look like on the meetup and check like what's happening. So in general, like as I said, like monthly sessions, maybe 3 to 4 weeks. But for this month, it's busy. We have like more sessions coming, which is good, right? Because we're always learning something new. Yeah, thanks all. Appreciate it. Thanks, George, again. And yeah,
Thank you.
talk
Thanks
to you
too.
guys next. Yeah, bye.
Bye bye.